Getting your offer accepted on a home in the Palm Springs area right now is very difficult, especially that it's a seller's market. But if you use these secret tips in this video I'm going to share with you, you can make your dream a reality. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video because I'm going to share with you some secrets that not even real estate agents know. Okay, first we're gonna talk about a cash offer and we're gonna talk about a financed offer. So an offer where you'll be getting a loan. I think it's important to differentiate the two because they could be very different when submitting an offer on a home. We're gonna talk about the purchase price and the terms, okay? So the price you're offering to that seller and then the terms of the contract, those are the two major components of any offer. Between cash offers and financed offers, there's a lot of similarities, and let's go into those. So when you're submitting an offer, whether you're cash or financed, the first thing you need to know is how many days, what's the average days on market before a home is sold. And why this is important is, in this kind of market, it could be 2, 3, 7 days before a home's sold. So you have to know realistically, if a home goes on the market and you wait a few days to put in an offer, that home's gonna be sold, okay? And with this limited inventory we have right now, because it is the seller's market, there's not a lot of homes going around. So you need to make sure you and your realtor are on top of things, because if that home comes on and you don't reach out, it's gonna be sold. And this isn't just a sales tactic. You could have your realtor send you, say if you have a price range or a specific area you're looking at, ask them to send you just like a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis of a certain price range, square footage, bed and bath count. And then you could see the average days on market, which is important to know, but also the list price to sales price ratio. This is important for a few reasons. Okay, in this kind of market, the list price to sales price ratio, so the price the home is listed at and the price it actually sells at, is like 99.9%, okay? So literally, homes are selling, maybe within 1% or even 1/4% of what they're actually listed at. So what that means is, if you're submitting an offer, whether it's cash or financed, depending on what that CMA tells you, there is some nuances in the market where maybe it might be 2 or 3% difference, but you have to know, because if you're coming in, and you're this area that you're looking at, let's just say hypothetically it's a 99% or 100% list price to sales price. So homes are basically selling at what they're being listed at. If you come in way under, honestly, your offer is not even going to be looked at, and they're just going to go forward with the offers that are serious, that are being at the price that it's going to actually sell at. So that's something definitely to keep in mind. And by the way, if you're looking for a good realtor, reach out to me. My contact information. My name is Tommy, your local Palm Springs area realtor. I would love to help you. So that's important. List price to sales price, and also knowing the average days on market. Those are the two things to start off that you need to know about. The next crucial element of any offer is motivation. What is the seller's motivation for selling? And you might be like, why is that important? Well, it helps you to structure your offer in a way that's more compelling to that seller. So, for example, if a seller, and this is why you need a good agent, and you could use someone else. I'm giving this information out for free to help you, but if you use me, great. But it's important to have a good agent. And here's the reason why. A good agent will reach out to that listing agent and just talk to them and see, hey, is your seller, are they just going to take the best offer that comes right away, or are they going to send out like a multiple counter offer? Because, for example, if the seller's just taking whatever best offer comes and they don't want to do negotiations and go back and forth with counters, you need to know, putting your best foot forward just out of the gate. So whatever you're willing to pay maximum for that property, you need to go in with that figure, because if you don't, you're just gonna get blown out of the water, okay? But if, the seller's willing to do multiple counter offers and they're gonna, review all the offers when they come in and they do one best and final, then you could structure your offer differently. But also a reason why someone like myself would need to talk to the listing agent is to find out, like, hey, what's the motivating factors for your client? Like, are they in any financial problems? Like, do they need to sell very quickly? Is, like escrow term, right? So typically, an escrow will be a 30-day period, right? So you make an offer on a home, today is Thursday, the seller accepts, then, the next day you go into escrow, and then 30 days after that you close, right? That's the escrow period. Now, if the seller is like, hey, they need to be out of town, in 15, 20 days, well, depending on what you're even able to do, but that might be an important thing to put in the terms of the offer, because remember I said you have the purchase price, but then you have the terms of the offer, and one of the terms of the offer is the days you're putting for that escrow period. So that's something really important that your agent needs to find out, is like, hey, and a lot of agents don't do this, and I don't know why, but for some sellers, they need to sell ASAP. But also, on the other hand, like I had a client submit an offer a few days ago, and that seller actually wanted 30 days, and maybe even a longer, maybe 40 days, because they were a little older. And they had a lot of things inside the house, a lot of tchotchkes, just a lot of stuff, right? So they needed time to get all the stuff out of the house, and they actually wanted a longer escrow. So if you could be flexible as a buyer with that seller with either a longer or shorter escrow, that's gonna put you in a better position to get your offer accepted. Because you have to remember, in a market like this where there's not a lot of inventory, we gotta drop our egos, okay? It's not about what we want as the buyers. I mean, obviously, you want the right house, but when it comes to the terms of the offer, be flexible, because the flexible, nice party is gonna win out, okay? I get some offers sometimes on properties, and they're really great, but then the terms, the buyers aren't flexible at all with them, and it might be something really silly, and sometimes that offer loses, and they might go to an offer that's slightly lower priced just because the buyer was willing to just be more flexible. So that's very important. Another thing, if you're submitting a cash offer, okay, this is going to be talking about the purchase price of the offer, make sure you have proof of funds. And another thing is, don't send me proof of funds that are like a year old. I get it, they might just be on your desktop, and that might be what you have laying around, but get proof of funds. And also, it would help to have these proof of funds that are liquid. That means cash in a checking account, savings account. We need that cash. You must be able to just send that. If you're offering a cash offer, the cash could be more compelling than the financed offer, because you don't have to go through the whole loan process where you have to go through a processor and underwriter. The underwriter has to approve your file for the loan to be funded. You don't have to do all that. You're basically saying, hey, I got this cash. I can send it tomorrow if I want. So make sure you have that cash sort of liquid, and we're going to send them a proof of funds with a bank statement, some kind of just statement showing that you have that money, because I get offers sometimes and they have no proof of funds and it's cash, and it's just like, come on guys, get with the program. And if you're a financed offer, something that you need to have is a pre-approval letter. Okay, I'm not talking a pre-qualification letter, okay, because those are pretty easy to get. Any Joe Schmo could go to any mortgage broker or whatever and get one of those. We need a pre-approval letter, because that means they've looked at your W-2s and just your credit score and all of that. It's just more of a vetted approval than a pre-qualification. So we need that pre-approval, and basically we'll submit that with the offer, right? That's very important. Also, it'd be good just to have a bank statement regardless for the earnest money deposit. It's usually 3%. So on a $600,000 house, within 3 days of opening escrow, you need to send $18,000 to escrow. Now that will go towards the balance of the house, but that's just a good faith deposit, just showing the seller that you have some skin in the game, and showing a bank statement that you actually have that money. The next item, which is very important, I'm glad you're still watching, because the other people who clicked out missed this, is the terms, okay, of the inspection period. So for example, I sound like a robot. For example, the physical inspection contingency. So the two main contingencies in an escrow period will be 17 days for the physical inspection, and then it will be 21 days for the loan. So if you have a loan, it's very hard to make that loan contingency, which should be 21 days, to make it 10 days, because it's just sketchy. If the lender can't fund your loan, then you're missing out on your earnest money deposit. So I mean, that would have to be a conversation we would have to have really in depth with your lender to find out what your situation is financially, how good the lender is, making sure it's a local lender, especially if you're dealing on leased land. Also, if you have a local lender, it will help with getting your offer accepted. But let's just say loan and appraisal contingencies, those are very hard to take off for your loan, and that's why cash offers sometimes could win. But don't be discouraged. If you need help and you're financing your offer, we could, work on that. But if you're a cash buyer, man, if you could lower that physical inspection contingency, and what that basically means, any inspections of the property, right? And by the way, this is a quick video, a summary, so this isn't legal advice. Don't sue me, bro. I was gonna say, or bra if you're a female. That 17-day inspection, if you could lower that to like 7 days and just know how many days it's gonna actually take for an inspector to get out there, because by that, for hypothetically 7th day, you need to have that contingency removed, and you might not even have your home inspection. So I think an aggressive, number might be 10 days for a physical inspection contingency, because that shows the seller like, whoa, they're willing to expedite that process and get that contingency removed, because contingencies are something that needs to be met. So that protects the buyer. So if you have contingencies to 17 days for a physical inspection, that means within those 17 days, if you find something, with the property you don't like something with the roof, or I don't know, just anything detrimental, you could pull out of the deal, and then that's just not as sure as an offer. So we want to make the terms of the offer more aggressive, because then it shows the seller you have more skin in the game and you're really gonna go through with this escrow. Because a lot of buyers right now are submitting some crazy offers with way overpriced or that kind of thing. But where the rubber meets the road is, okay, you could offer me, as a seller, right, a price that's like way over, but let me see your terms. If your terms aren't as aggressive as the price, you're probably not that serious. You're just trying to get your offer accepted and then go into escrow, and then during the home inspection, knock off a bunch of money off the house because of little items. Don't do that, guys. It's just not good business. Go forward with the amount you're actually going to pay. But I would say that the physical inspection contingency is one of the biggest ones. This is one of the secrets where if you could lower that number, or even, man, it comes with risk, and I'm not saying to do this, but if you find a home that you absolutely love, you have to have, and you go in with no inspection contingency, and this is buyer beware kind of thing, you're most likely going to get that house. So I would only advise that maybe on a new construction home, or just a home where I had a client recently, they were looking at putting $400,000 into the property, okay? If you're gonna put $400,000 into a property and the house is like a $900,000 house, but it's just really outdated, well then most likely you're gonna be fixing everything on the inspection report. So, but you still have to be careful. So this is where I could give you my expert advice, but you have to make the decision at the end. But these little tips will help you to make more of an aggressive offer where you could still feel comfortable making that offer and you could sleep at night, but it will just put you in a better place to beat out the other buyers, right? And that's what we're trying to do. The next secret tip is, if you're submitting an offer, make sure to see the property. Most sellers right now, and I know it's hard, we live in an area where you might be a snowbird, you might live in Oregon or Washington or somewhere else, so it might be hard for you to physically get to the property to see it. But if I'm a listing agent and I'm representing a seller and we're getting tons of offers and you have 2 really good offers, but one offer hasn't seen the property yet, I'm gonna advise my client to take the one where they've seen the property, because a lot of times clients will get to the home and they're like, well, and you're already in escrow because you took that offer sight unseen, and like, well, we don't like the neighborhood, there's a lot of traffic, the dog's barking, you know what I mean? It's like all these different things, and then you fall out of escrow, your days on market's going up and you have to relist, and it's a whole thing, right? So even if you're in Washington or something, take a 2-3 hour plane flight if you're really committed to the home and you know the area well, to fly out to see it, you know what I mean? First, you want to do your research, just making sure you like the area, but if a home comes up in a community you're familiar with, come out, because it's going to make the difference from you getting your offer accepted. Something to keep in mind, if you're financing your offer and you're competing, and most likely you could be competing, over the actual asking price. So for example, I had a client, it was a $1.2 million home. We came in at 125, and then 2 offers came in, I kid you not, at 1.4, a 1.4 to 1.5 range, 1.4 million to 1.5. So about 200,000 to 300,000 over ask. Now my client, we didn't go forward with that, but 2 of those offers, one was financed and one was cash. Now, financed offers, it's still going to be cash at the end of the day, right? Like when escrow closes, the bank's going to send that seller money. So does it really matter if it's a financed offer or cash? No, at the end of the day. But a seller taking cash offer is more reliable than a financed offer. But a way you could be aggressive with your financed offer is if you remove the appraisal contingency. And let me tell you, there's some caveats to this. There's risk involved, okay? If you remove your appraisal contingency, right, like these people did, and they came in at around 1.4 million, and say the property was worth 1.3, well, the bank would say, great, we're going to give you, well, you want to be financing that whole amount, but just to make things easy, let's just say, great, we were going to give you 1.3 million for the house. Okay, but we see the house, you made an offer at 1.4 million. Well, you as the buyer would have to come out of pocket with that 100,000 because you remove the appraisal contingency, because the bank's not going to lend more than what the appraiser thinks the property is actually worth. Now, say you don't want to do that, but then your earnest money's on the line, right? Because you have that 3% deposit. But if I'm a seller, okay, and if I'm representing a seller, I'm the listing agent, I have 2 offers, okay, they're both for 1.3 million, right? One's cash and one's financed. If the terms are the same, right, like escrow period, inspection period, everything's the same, okay, and the financed offer is willing to remove that appraisal contingency, then that makes it a stronger offer, like that cash offer. That would give the seller, more peace of mind, and most likely that financed offer would have a very good chance of being accepted, just like that cash offer, because then they're like, well, they have the cash to pay, if the appraisal comes in a lot less, which most likely it would. Now, the thing is, you need to make sure you have a really strong proof of funds with your financed offer to show that you could pay the difference if you're removing the appraisal. You could pay the difference to the lender if that appraisal comes in a lot less. So, that's how you can make a financed offer more competitive with a cash offer in that kind of situation. But, I understand everybody's different, right? Every buyer's in a different position financially, and just, what they're willing to do in an offer to get a home. But, that just brings me to this point. Make offers that you feel comfortable with, but you have to be realistic, right? Be realistic with the sales prices from the list price, how many days on market, how many offers you have coming in, and you might have to sit on the sidelines for a while, waiting till the right home comes on market. And another thing, say 1.2, say 800,000, say 500,000 is your limit to what you're willing to spend, then you might need to be looking at homes around 420,000 to have that extra cash to compete, to then maybe once everything's said and done, the home price goes up to 500,000 and you are that big fish in a smaller pond, versus going up against the people at $1 million, where say $1 million you're top of your range, but you're coming in at $1 million. Well, you're a small fish in a big pond because someone else could come in at 1.2 or 1.3. Do you get what I mean? So just understand, be aware of the market, understand the terms of the offer, the price you're coming in at, what the seller's motivation. These are just some of the things that's going to help your offer to stand out and you get your dream home, which I want to happen. And if you need help doing that, my contact information is below. I would love to help you, and I think you're going to like this next video on moving to Palm Springs, California.